Hey everyone, it's me, IARESMART, and it's review time. I love to review stuff. It's one of my favorite things to do, so yeah. Today we're going to be reviewing The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and dang, that's like a really long title to write out. Like, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, it's just long, okay? Like, WandaVision was just two names, and they put it into one word, but then you have like, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's like 6 whole words. That's like way too long for a title. Anyway, so we're going to be reviewing that today. I am. You're going to be watching my review. You're not going to review it. I'm going to review it, and you're going to listen to me. Anyway, so yeah. If you haven't seen my reviews before, I like to split them up. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there for a second. Don't worry about it. We're going to split them up. So for the first part of the video, I'm just going to talk about what I thought of it, you know, spoiler-free, just give you a general review. Then I'm going to talk spoilers and, like, break down each episode. So, I thought it was cool, you know? I thought it was neat. There was some cool stuff in it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it was just, it was a cool show. I liked it. You know, just a general thing. I enjoyed it. You know, I didn't really know what to look forward to going into this, but I knew, hey, Falcon, Winter Soldier, they're both cool characters. They're good Marvel characters, and I think it'd be cool that they get their own show, because in the movies, you don't really get to see much of them. You just kind of know, like, oh yeah, it's Captain America's friends. They're cool and stuff. You know, they're there, but you don't really get to see much of his characters. But this show just fleshes them out fully. It more focuses on Falcon and his journey of, you know, he was given the shield at the end of Endgame and he has to come to terms with that decision. I'm not going to spoil anything for you here. But that's kind of the general idea, is the whole show focuses more on Falcon as a whole. But we also get to see more of Bucky. And there's a ton of other characters in the show that we get to see. Some other Marvel people who come back and do stuff who are just related to the theme. And also we get introduction of the character of John Walker, who is like the new Captain America. And this isn't really a spoiler, this is revealed early on. But John Walker, personally, I really enjoyed as a character. You know, the show does a really good job of just in the writing of making you dislike him, which is weird. And I'm not going to talk too much into spoilers of why, but the show just makes you dislike him, which I think is a real feat of this show, that it writes him in a way where he doesn't do anything explicitly like for you to hate him. Like, he does a couple things that kind of suck, and you don't really like him, but you just hate him. Like, for the first couple episodes, and you just don't really know why, but it's just amazing. I think John Walker's character is incredibly written. I think his character isn't exactly that great of a person. You know, maybe he has good intentions here and there, but I love how they wrote how they wrote his character. It's just really good. Then also Zemo's there. That's pretty cool. He shows up for a bit. You know, he only got to do like a little bit in Civil War and instantly became a fan favorite, and then he got to come back, so I thought that was cool. We got to see him, and it didn't feel too out of place. Like, when they first said, oh, Zemo's gonna be in it, I was like, why? Like, why put him in there? I feel like that's just pointless, but no, it made sense. And also we got Zemo dance, so, like, that's all we need in life, really. That's probably like one of the best scenes in the show, if I'm being honest. Anyway, so yeah, I think just as the general thing, I liked it. It's a bit of a decisive show. For whatever reason, people get all politics and be like, oh, it's a garbage show, or oh my gosh, this is the greatest show of all time because it does so and so. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's a show about dudes beating dudes up. I mean, to be fair, the show focuses more on character, which I absolutely love, and you know, you still get action scenes, and nice because, you know, it's Marvel. But especially with the 5th episode, this isn't a spoiler, but it just focuses solely on the characters and what they're going through, and, you know, they get to interact, and it's really good. It's good stuff. It's really, again, it's like a new thing for Marvel, you know? It's just nice. It's nice, instead of just having, you know, characters like punching each other all the time, we get a little bit of that, but then we also get to see what the character's up to. Like, you know, there's like a person in that super cool superhero outfit. What are they up to? What are they thinking about? And you get to see that in this show, which is nice, because usually in a Marvel movie, I was thinking there were so many scenes where I'm like, oh, this is a cool scene. We get to see what the character's thinking. We get to see what they're doing, and we get like a full 20-minute segment in an episode, which they're like 6 episodes. They're all about like an hour long, but we get like a 20-minute segment in the show where we get to see what the character's doing, which probably only would have been like a passing mention had this been a whole movie, because this could have just been like a 2-hour movie had they cut out a ton of stuff. But because they got to put it in a series, they got to do way more, which I really like. You know, I feel like they took the episodic form really well, and it's a bit of a different pace from WandaVision, which was episodic because it kind of was a parody well, not really a parody, but just it was more of a reference to, like, American television. And yet, each episode was structured like a television, because obviously we know now that's what Wanda wanted. And that's spoilers for WandaVision, but I already reviewed that show a while ago. So, overall as a whole, I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think it worked well as a series. I'm glad they did that, and I'm glad they made it. You know, they had a bit of difficulty making it. I watched the behind the scenes. On Friday they released a behind the scenes thing. I would encourage you to watch it if you're interested. It's not really like an episode of the show, but it just kind of goes through how they made each episode. And if you're curious into that stuff like I am, it's just really entertaining to see what went into making the show. So, overall, yeah, that's my blanket review. No spoilers. I'm going to talk spoilers now, so if you haven't seen it, but you probably have, you're probably just waiting for me to talk spoilers. We're just going to talk spoilers now, alright? Have you gotten the idea? If you haven't clicked off yet, I'm going to talk spoilers now. So don't blame me if you got spoiled, alright? So first off, let's go to episode 1. Episode 1's cool. You know, we start with this thing. You know, Sam has the shield, and we know we're picking up, like, just a couple weeks or months after Endgame. It's not entirely clear, but it's sometime afterwards. And we know Cap's gone now. He's either, like, dead or just... I don't know what he's doing. But he was like an old man in Endgame, so he probably died. Anyway, so Sam has this shield. And he has this... You know, there's so much meaning in this shield, really. Like, that's the emotional focal point of this show, is the shield. You know, it's just in the imagery of the show, and it's just such a focal point, which just... Sam was given this shield that means so much to so many people. It means so many different things. And he's just given it, and he's... You know, Steve entrusts Sam with this shield, and then he has to deal with that. Do I take this up? Do I take up this mantle? Am I Captain America? Or do I let the legacy lie? Do I just have this be Steve's and be it, you know, just a symbol for people to look up to? Or should I take up the mantle myself? It's, you know, we see him going through this, and ultimately he decides at the beginning that, hey, I'm just going to go give it to this museum. It can be on display. Which then I find it weird when, like, you know, the museum has this whole thing, like, they put in the display case, be like, yay, look at this, we're putting the shield on display, everyone, and everyone's like, oh, cool. But then, like, a day later, after Sam leaves, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, sorry, we changed our minds and give it to John Walker. Which is just confusing to me, but whatever, we'll get to that. Also, now we see that, you know, there was this whole action sequence where, like, Falcon flies around and, like, fights that one Russian dude from Winter Soldier that I kind of forgot about. Yeah, I didn't even notice until someone mentioned it to me. But why did the TV freeze? Why did my TV freeze? But yeah, he fights this dude. You know, they fly around and there's this whole stunts in the sky. It's pretty cool. It's a nice action sequence to start it off. But also we see that Bucky's here. You know, he's chilling out. He's going to therapy. He got a haircut. It's crazy. So he has to try and deal with the fact that, hey, I'm not the Winter Soldier anymore. I don't have to, like, follow orders whenever Hydra tells me to do stuff, you know? I can just be my own guy now. But then he struggles with, what does that mean? I've been just fighting for so long. What do I do now? So then we set up this whole thing of Bucky trying to figure out how to come to terms with his past and how to move on. And then we set up this theme where there's an old guy, and he killed his son as the Winter Soldier, which wasn't his choice, but he was still conscious of it. And then he has to deal with, I killed this man's son. Can I tell him that? Will he be okay with that? You know, it's really interesting setup. And we just see that, wow, Bucky's dealing with a lot of emotional trauma and stuff. And now he doesn't have Steve to rely on, because Steve was the only person who ever really, like, trusted him, and it was a good friend to him. So now he's like, what do I do? Are you working now? There you go. Come on, ridiculous. Anyway, so in episode 1, really nice setup. And then at the very end, we get the reveal, hey, there's a new Captain America, because apparently they can just, you know, replace him, and they're just like, oh, they have the Senator guy come out. I don't know why the Senator guy keeps showing up. He's weird. But he's like, oh, we're all so sad and depressed now. We need a new Captain America. So we literally just went and got one off the street. So here you go. Here's Captain America, everyone. Everyone's like, woo! And then Sam's all sad. So anyway, now we go on to episode 2. And now we actually get introduced. You know, we literally just got like 5 seconds of here's new Captain America. But this episode we actually get to see, here's John Walker. He's a cool guy. You know, he's got his best friend Lamar. And they're like war vets, and he's like the new Captain America. But we as the audience are made to hate him because our main characters, Bucky and Sam, don't like him. So obviously we as the audience don't like him. Even though there really isn't much of a reason why we shouldn't like John Walker, we still are just like Nah, he's not Steve. He can't be holding that shield. It's not his. He just took it up. It's not his. What the heck, man? Anyway, so now they go off, and they have to fight the Flag Smashers, who I don't really get at all. But there's this girl called Carly Morgenthau, who, wants to, end, or go back. Look, I don't know what their goal is. All I know is she's the girl from Solo. So, anyway, and her goal is pretty much the same, in which she wants to, like, fight back against the Empire or something. Who's making it so... Okay, the Flag Smashers are weird. Let me figure this out. So, like, they want to, like, when everyone disappeared in Avengers Infinity War, everyone had houses, right? Everyone was living in their house, and then half the people went away, so now half the houses are abandoned, right? And so people started moving into these houses, because they're like, might as well, and just leave their old houses, I guess, or, like, bulldoze them and stuff. And then everyone comes back, and, like, moves into their old houses, because they're like, hey, I was here 5 years ago, like, before I dusted away, so I obviously own the rights to this house. And the government's like, yeah, the people who owned this originally own it, even though you bought it, like, I don't know, a year or so ago. And now these people are displaced, which is kind of unfair, but it's literally unfair either way. But, like, also there's still the same amount of houses, right? Wouldn't there still be, like, around the same amount of houses? It would only be, like, a handful of people who would just, like, go back to their old house? Like, huh? What? And also, why did everyone just feel the need to move? Like, oh, crud, half the planet was just disappeared. Looks like there's a ton of... What a great time to buy a house, man. This is a free, big old market of houses available. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so the Flag Smashers are mad because they want things to be like they were during the blip. So instead of doing the reasonable thing and, like, I don't know, going to, you know, the government and asking, like, hey, what the heck? They're like, oh, the government's not going to listen to us. We're going to go commit violent acts of terror and start killing people because then they'll listen to us. Like, I don't really get it. And then they're like, what? The government's labeling us as terrorists and not listening to any of our propositions. What the heck? Guess we gotta, you know, up the ante and start blowing more stuff up. And then they have this whole thing. But then, like, you know, Falcon and Bucky are like, hey, we gotta go fight the Flag Smashers. Then Sam's like, wait, what the heck? These guys aren't even that bad. And I think this is episode 3 or something. I've lost track. But regardless, John Walker just keeps showing up and is like, ooh, haha, I'm John Walker. I'm Captain America, here to fight the terrorists. And he doesn't really know what's going on because, you know, the Flag Smashers aren't exactly telling anyone that they have good intentions. Supposedly, they're just like, hey, we're blowing stuff up because we like blowing stuff up. But also, we're doing it for a good intention. But we're not going to tell you that. And Sam's the only one who actually, like, notices this and is like, hey, maybe we should, like, check these guys out. But John Walker's just all gung-ho, walks in there, which you can't really blame him for, right? He's like, he's given a mission. He's like, hey, I have to go fight terrorists. Okay. They're hurting people. I'm going to go fight them. And then he's like, oh, crud, they're super soldiers. Yeah, by the way, they're super soldiers. So now it's unfair because the only one who can actually, like, kind of fight them is Bucky, but they're also like a fair fight to Bucky, and there's a ton of them. And they have this new super soldier serum, which just works, apparently. And then you get up onto things. You get Isaiah Bradley, who's a character that Bucky kind of knows because he fought him in, like, the Korean War or something? Yeah, so basically, after Steve died, well, not died, but, like, what got frozen in ice after World War II, they're like, hey, we're going to try making a couple more super soldiers. And none of them worked, except this one guy called Isaiah Bradley. But then they were like, oh, hey, it's like the 60s and we're racist, so you don't get to be recognized. And he's like, what the heck? So then he gets to meet Sam, and he's essentially like part of, like, the voice in Sam's head telling him you can't be Captain America. He's like this voice saying there's no way they're ever going to let you be Captain America. You can't. Which is why Sam never took up the shield in the first place. He passed it on. And that's why Bucky is upset with him. And we get all these interesting things of just the main idea being Sam not sure whether or not he can take up the shield, which I think was really interesting. And then you just get more of that, and eventually he just, towards the end of the series, he comes to terms with the fact that, no, I can be Captain America, and I should. Because, you know, it's America. We can all be Americans, and I can take up the shield, and that can be cool. So that's great. And then we also get this thing called Madripoor in a while. You know, they picked up Zemo out of prison because they need him, because he knows about super soldiers or something. And then he says a bunch of stuff like, oh yeah, super soldier serum sucks, we gotta get rid of it. And then the Wakandans show up, and then, like, John Walker, like, takes the super soldier serum. Look, the plot's kind of messy. It keeps changing, like, every episode, and a bunch of stuff happens. Sharon Carter shows up. You might remember her from The Winter Soldier when she kissed Steve, and it was really weird, because she's technically, like, the niece of Peggy Carter, who Steve then goes back in time to marry. So essentially, like, there's a, he kind of, like, went back and, like, kissed his niece, which is just weird. But we don't need to think too much about it. Anyway, she becomes, like, the power broker or something, which I don't really know what that means, but for whatever reason, she, like, is really rich, and she lives in this place called Madripoor, which isn't actually real. It's not a real place in the real world, but it exists in the Marvel Universe, and it's, like, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. So anyway, they go there, and they need to find out, hey, they're making super soldier serum, and that's where the Flag Smashers got it from, so that's why they're all buff. Except they don't look buff, because I don't know. Anyway, then we get on to episode 4. I don't know where we are exactly. 4, we get more of John Walker, and he's like, hey, I should probably take this super soldier serum, because Zemo found the rest of the super soldier serum that the Flag Smashers had, and he smashed their super soldier serum that the Flag Smashers had. Holy crud, this is a tongue twister, but regardless, Zemo hates the super soldier serum, for obvious reasons. Super soldier serum, holy crud. Anyway, so yeah, he gets rid of it, except for one. And John Walker takes that and is like, hey, yeah, boy, I'm gonna get the super soldier serum. Which you can't really blame him for. He doesn't know that it's, like, bad for you, and it makes you, like, bad, I think? I don't really know. Maybe I think it makes you a bad person or something. I don't know, but regardless, he's like, hey, if I take this will even the odds. I can actually fight the Flag Smashers, because, up until now he couldn't face them one-to-one in combat because they were stronger than him. So you really can't hate him for taking the super soldier serum. There's really nothing bad about it in his eyes, so you can't really blame him. But because of the writing, you're gonna not like him. So anyway, he takes it, and then one of the Flag Smashers kills Lamar, on accident. Ooh, no, I accidentally, threw Lamar into a wall and he died because, and then we're like, oh my gosh, don't worry, Flag Smashers, it's okay. We feel bad. We feel, fine for you because you have a good message, even though you just killed a man. But regardless, now John Walker's mad because his best friend and his voice of reason was just killed. So now he kind of goes on a mad rage and chases this guy all around, and then he, like, beats him to death in cold blood in the middle of public, which is not a very good idea, in case you couldn't tell. But regardless, he was seeking revenge. And then we get this really cool shot of him with a shield, and it's got, like, blood on it, and it's obviously, like, it's really messed up, but it's just so dark. And you just see, like, the Captain America shield, this symbol of hope covered in blood, and it's such a good visual imagery of just... It's so good, and I love that they made that scene. It's obviously like a pretty messed up scene where, like, this hero Captain America just killed a dude, like, in front of a ton of people. But in his eyes, he just avenged his friend by killing a terrorist. So it's not like, it's that crazy or anything. But still, regardless, the next episode, episode 5, they're like, hey, John Walker, you can't have the shield anymore. And he's like, what the heck? I literally did everything you asked. And they're like, yeah, but you looked bad while doing it, so we're taking it from you, and we're just gonna, like, leave it in a place where Sam can conveniently go find it later. So, yeah. Or no, Sam just straight up took it from him, and then was like, oh, what the heck, there's blood on this? That's weird. So regardless, now, John Walker doesn't have the shield anymore, and this blue hair lady shows up and's like, hey, I have this really long name. We're gonna make you cool, but that'll be in the finale. So, whatever. And then John Walker goes on, he goes all Iron Man style and makes his own shield, which will show up in the finale for like 2 minutes. But regardless, all of episode 5 was really great. It was, like I already mentioned, it was just character development, talking with the characters. Bucky realizes, hey, if I want to make amends, I actually have to make amends. And he realizes that he has to actually, like, go tell that old guy that he killed his son when he was the Winter Soldier. So, we have that. Then Sam gets this really cool training montage. He goes and meets with Isaiah a couple more times. And yeah, then we just get set up for the finale, which I don't know what it is. Like, same with the WandaVision finale. I don't know why Marvel can't do finales, but they always just feel so basic. Like, with WandaVision, it was just like, oh, cool, I wonder what's going to happen. And it was just like, oh, a big CGI battle that doesn't even look that cool. Okay, fine, at least we get a couple cool things here and there. And same with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't like the finale. Like, it was just so predictable. Oh, look, the Flag Smashers are all dead. John Walker became a good guy again. Sam becomes the Captain America, and Bucky feels good about himself again. And Zemo goes to prison again. okay, it's kind of predictable. Nothing really cool happens. You know, it's just a bunch of fight scenes. The Flag Smashers capture a bunch of senators and say, hey, you're not allowed to make this vote, so we're going to hold you hostage until you know, give us our houses back, I think. I don't really remember what their whole thing was. But regardless, Carly kind of goes crazy, and she fights Sam for a bit, and Sam just, like, has the shield now. And then he also fights that one Russian dude again, because he's back for some reason. You know, he fights him, even while he could be doing better things, but whatever. So now he's, you know, like, flying around. He's got the wings and the shield and this new white suit that looks crazy. And then he gives this whole, like, 10-minute speech, which is actually pretty cool. I don't know, it seemed a bit out of place to me, but also it was a cool speech, so I gotta give him that. And it was a pretty good speech, you know. It wasn't like the best speech I've ever heard, but it was pretty good. And I think it made a lot of sense, you know. And then everyone's always like, oh, it, you know, connects to what's going on in real life, which, you know, makes sense too. But I think it more applies to, like, hey, you know, these Flag Smashers died fighting for a cause. Maybe you should have, like, I don't know, looked into what that cause was, and everyone's like, oh, that's a good idea. And John Walker's like, huh, yeah, that's a good idea. And John Walker's a good guy now because he saved people and he's just chill. And then that blue hair lady comes back and is like, oh, by the way, John Walker, you're U.S. agent now. And he's like, okay. I don't know what that means, but he's called U.S. agent. So, anyway, Sam is now the Captain America. Bucky is just kind of chill, you know, being himself, I guess. He gets to live his life now. And Isaiah Bradley gets recognized at the end, which is pretty cool. So essentially everyone gets a happy ending, except for Zemo. Well, he kind of does. You know, he gets to finish off the rest of the Flag Smashers, then go to prison. So, I don't know. This is cool, I guess. And also the Wakandans were there for a bit because they don't like Zemo. Because, you know, he did kind of kill their other king. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool. But I don't know. The finale was just kind of eh. But overall, the show as a whole I liked. And yeah. So that was a pretty long review. But a lot of stuff happens in this show. And some of it makes sense. Like, you know, Falcon having a really cool arc. And, you know, that makes sense of him. Should I take up the shield? I really liked that. I liked Bucky's character. I'm glad Zemo was in there. I think the three of them had good chemistry. Pretty much any scene they were in was pretty entertaining. And they got to do funny stuff. And also there was decent action scenes. John Walker's character was incredible. I think it was extremely well written. Having this guy who, you know, has an incredible thing to live up to, doesn't live it up to it the fullest, is then angry because he couldn't live up to it, and then he gets redeemed. So, I don't know. Really cool, really cool, really cool. Just, that's the show as a whole was really cool, you know. It's not, I don't think it's the greatest thing we've had, but it was pretty cool. And I'm excited to see what more Marvel does, because Marvel, you know, they make good stuff. It's pretty crazy. I don't know what else to say. There were some other characters in the show. Also, yeah, at the end they were like, oh, yeah, by the way, Sharon Carter is, like, evil now. Which is like, okay. Sorry, I kind of forgot about her character existing, and then they threw her in this show, and it's like, oh, she's here. Cool. She's cool, I guess, but I don't know. And then there's still that blue hair lady. Like, why was she even there? What did she do? Why does she keep hanging out with John? What's their thing? Is John gonna become evil again? Is he gonna be a good guy now that he's U.S. agent? I don't know, man. Anyway, yeah, I need to end this review, because it's gone on for way too long. Hope you enjoyed Zemo dancing. I did. That was a really funny part. I liked that. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of the review. Go watch the show if you haven't, but you probably did if you watched all the way to this part of the review, because I mentioned the spoilers and whatnot, so, yeah, bye.